All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Excited to be with you once again. Interesting topic. Like I told you yesterday, I'm going to keep it a surprise for a while. By now, you know, as far as the postings for the community. Let me silence this phone so there will be no distractions here. Uh, I will be talking about, is Germany considering acquiring nuclear weapons? I mean, just think about it. Take a step back and think about it. And this is what I intend to address, provide you with my analysis about this, and react to some other articles that I had a chance to read yesterday. Some of them put things in perspective. I agree with some, disagree with others, and we just go from there. So let me first say quickly hi to our wonderful community. I know somebody put a comment, said that I talk too much before we start. You know how pathetic that is, but I'm not going to waver from saying hi to our wonderful community. So if that person didn't like it, go get a hike. Take a hike, man. Get lost. So hang in, G. Good to see you. Willie Holman, as always. Mo 1917. Good to see you. Truth Seeker, as always. Multi Tom Tom. Good to see you. Tom Saya. Wires. Li Yang. Phil, as well. Good to see you, Phil. I haven't seen you for a while. Marco W, good to see you. A.F. Gordon Carleon, good to see you. Salam to you as well. Who else here? Ramposo One, Francis Tango, as always. And Alice Talokin, good to see you. Very, very excited. It's wonderful, our community. So anyway, this is what I'm going to be addressing for you. Some headlines. Before I do headlines, I want to let you know why my interview with Larry Johnson was canceled, because he had to travel to Moscow. And as a matter of fact, he had a meeting with the foreign minister of Russia, Mr. Lavrov. So very, very interesting. I listened to that interview that happened there, along with, I think, Judge Napolitano and a third person. But anyway, that was the reason why. So I'm waiting till Larry flies back home. Then I'll have him on the channel. I might even extend an invitation to Judge Napolitano if he will be willing to come over to the channel here. So, all right, let's do some headlines quickly here before I'll jump into the topic. So I'm going to share some pictures with you. And guys, please give me a thumbs up about the sound. I want to make sure I learned my lesson with that. I just want to make sure. So if you will be kind and just give me a thumbs up here before I move forward. Truth Seeker, so it's working. Let's move on. All right, the first one, guys, I'm going to share with you has to do with the Houthis, the announcement they just did. And the announcements pertain to now that they are resuming its ban on the passage of Israeli ships following the expiration. Here is the keyword: expiration of the deadline they gave Israel to allow aid into Gaza. The Houthis gave 4 days to Israel, saying either you lift the blockade, let the aid go through because it's the month of Ramadan and so forth, or we will resume. If there is one thing I need you to learn or to know about Houthis, they don't bluff. So I spent some time in Yemen, so you kind of they don't bluff. They follow through with what. So here is the thing now, and this is where the Houthis decided now. Now makes you just wonder what is going to be happening. And I give credit, by the way, to Anadolu Agency for this picture. Makes me just wonder what's going to be happening now. So, and I'm going to keep an eye open on these developments because remember, coincide this with the talks between the US and Iran, which, by the way, Ali Khamenei said he never received any letter from Trump. So he's not going to lie. He's not going to lie about it. On the other hand, in the US, they're saying, oh, Trump sent a letter to. So there's a discrepancy there. So, second headline I want to share with you. This one has to do with Africa. A lot of people, it's not even covered. This picture here is a destroyed tank that lies on the sides of the West Tigray. Tigray is in between Eritrea, and this is where that is. So what happened here? Now there is the some sort of a dangerous escalation between Ethiopia and Eritrea, and sort of the warnings of an upcoming war on the doorsteps. Yeah, that's what concerning there. So I am gonna be keeping an eye on this because I was aware of the. I traveled to Addis Ababa a few years ago. Even back then, wasn't as much tension as it is today. But so far, there are really imminent war in that part of the world, and pardon me, the military preparations are in their final stages. So, and this is what, I just want you guys to be aware of what's going on in some other parts of the world. So, all right, let's get into our topic here. So, we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned, is Germany going nuclear? In other words, are they going to acquire nuclear weapons? And if they do, isn't that a double standard from the West by limiting other countries not to develop their own nuclear weapons? So either get it off the table for everyone, or whomever can afford it, go with it. Of course, there is a danger to all this, but again, in this analysis, I want to provide you the big picture of all this, and then let you reach your own conclusion. So there are some key questions we ought to ask, and I don't know if I put this for you here. I'm going to see if I updated the questions for you here. I think, no, I didn't. So let me just do it quickly here for you guys so you can see the questions yourself. And it make more sense. So here's the first question we need to ask. Can Germany be trusted? What do you guys think? This is a question for you. And I'd like to have your input into this. In your opinion, knowing what you know about Germany, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit of history with you. Knowing what you know, knowing what you, based on what you read, do you believe if Germany acquires the nuclear weapons, can be trusted? Second question, what are the security implications for Europe? And a third question, will a nuclear race ensue? Not ensure. So that's my type. I was typing so fast. So that's those are the key questions we ought to ask. So before I do this, please make sure to subscribe if this is your first time to this platform here, because the analysis you are listening here and enjoying, it's unique to this platform here. So I will greatly appreciate your support. And please make sure to share the channel with others so they, like you, have an opportunity to hear the truth. And thank you for your support. So here is the link in the chat box for those who are here for the first time. So I will greatly appreciate it. Now, let's think about, even we should consider, could we consider, I'm sorry, not should, but could we consider, is Germany on the brink of a nuclear revolution? Because remember, only a few years ago, Germany decided to step aside from a nuclear power plants. And this is why I wanted to sort of explore the possibilities and implications of Germany going nuclear. It's very concerning to a degree because of what it's going to do to the geopolitical landscape in Europe, what it's going to do to the security aspects of that in Europe. When I say Europe, I'm referring also to the rest of the world, because that's how it works. So now it is reported that for Germany, and especially Friedrich Merz, the new chancellor here, who's going to take the reign, his conclusion to maybe I should consider going nuclear has to do also with Donald Trump's understanding with the Russians. So to him, the thinking, I'm sure his advisors are providing him with advice, whatever way it is, telling him, hey, Donald Trump is going this rapprochement between the US and Russia, it's not going to bode well for us, which I disagree with that assessment to begin with. Because if this rapprochement could lead to a peace and stability, wouldn't that be for the benefit of everybody? I have some European viewers in the channel here from England and Germany and Holland and so forth. You guys are a better judge since you are on the ground. Isn't it better to have peace than being in conflict. So the new chancellor is thinking in terms, no, 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 I don't want to consider this. I want to consider acquiring nuclear weapons. And at the same time, this is something the US was always trying to avoid. This is why we always say we're going to provide Germany with security. We put security umbrella for some countries in Europe. And like I said earlier, before I'll do this, I'm going to do a little bit of history, but I'll do geography also for you, because geography matters once you understand the impact of how important when you do assessments or analysis and so forth. So let me share the map with you from World Atlas. That's what I give credit to. There's Germany right there. So Germany, of course, where it is located, it is at the heart of Europe, or Central Europe, that is. So it is both positioned in the north and the eastern hemisphere of the earth. So Germany is bordered by about 9 countries, if you, as you see on the map there. So you have Denmark to the north, you have Poland and Czech Republic to the east, you have Austria in the southeast, Switzerland in the southwest, then France, Luxembourg, and Belgium in the west, and of course, Netherlands in the northwest, which is closer to. Germany is also bounded by the North Sea in the northwest and by the Baltic Sea in the northeast. So I remember my days when I used to travel to Scandinavians, Denmark and Sweden. I will go through the city of Kiel. If you look at the map in the north, Kiel, city of Kiel, very, very nice city. It is well known for it was well known for windsurfing at the time. So now, when it comes down to the history of Germany, because as I said, when you look at the countries surrounding Germany and so forth, this is why it is at the heart of Europe. History is something else. So I'm going to do just very, very brief chronological order for the history, taking you back to ancient history of Germany. A lot of people in the West do not know that Germany goes way back. And when I say Germany, I'm referring back to the kingdom back then. So we go back to 800. That's when Charlemagne is crowned as the Roman emperor, and he was crowned by Pope Leo III. Because remember, this is why still till today the Vatican play a role into. But of course, if you know the dark side or the dark history of the Vatican, but it's not today. You have to go back into history. Religion has always been a great tool to manipulate the masses, and some fall into that. But again, that's their prerogative. 843, that's when the Frankish Empire breaks up and Germany became a separate realm. This is where Prussia comes in and so forth. Later on, after that, which is about 962 to be exact, that's when none other than Otto I was crowned as a Roman emperor. And that was marking now a sort of the beginning of the so-called Holy Roman Empire. Because remember, religion and politics, that's why they are the two most controversial issues within families, but also politics understand that religion can be a great tool to be used. So Holy Roman, I was aware of a case, before I'll continue here, about John Paul II, Pope from Poland. And as a matter of fact, when I was in Warsaw, just to share this with you guys, back in the day when I was in Warsaw, I stopped at one of the, I don't go to church and all that. I just want to share this with you. The driver from the embassy, when he picks me up, told me, Mr. O, that church there, it was a small, he said, that's where John Paul II started his religious journey and so forth. So it was very interesting. So what I was going to say is just John Paul II got involved into the sort of the fall of the Soviet Union. So you will say to yourself, what a religious man has to do with religion. But just to highlight to you, because John Paul II played a role into this. So let's go back to our chronological history here. Now you move to, after Otto I, you move into 1250. And what happened in 1250? that marked the death of Frederick II. So, which of course, with his death, marked the end of the Roman, of the central, I'm sorry, the central authority of the empire. Because that's very crucial to understand that. Fast forward to modern history. This is what I shared with you, was the ancient history. Fast forward to the modern history, and if to those who are specializing in history, you're gonna mark this era by starting from the 1800s. So you go from 1870 to 1871. What happened? It was the Franco-Prussia, Prussia War. That's when it took place. 1870 to 1871. So Franco-Prussia War. So then fast forward to 1918. What happened in 1918? Because, well, I want you guys to share with me. What is the main event that was marked 1918? Let me see in the chat box. Oh, I saw someone put Lech Walesa from Poland. Multi-Tom, yeah, Lech Walesa. So what happened in 1918? Major event. USSR. No, something else. Multi-Tom, you got it. The end of World War I. That's very important. Because why? Germany was defeated. And who ended up defeating Germany? Because the Russians the Soviet plays a role into that at that time. Then right after that, 1918, in 1919, what was the key event that took place at that time was none other than the Treaty of Versailles. And the Treaty of Versailles forces Germany to pay reparations, and here is the key: give up territory. So fast forward to 1933. What happened in 1933? Who came to the political scene in 1933? Just think, guys. Major figure came to the political scene in Germany in 1933, to be exact. A.F. Gordon Carleon, you got it. It was Hitler. Adolf Hitler. He became the Chancellor of Germany. Now, of course, 1939 was World War II, began when Germany invaded Poland. And 1945, World War II in Europe ends when Germany army surrenders to the Allies. Of course, we manipulated history by saying we won World War II. We didn't. It was the Soviets that lost about 27 million soldiers. So there is a little history that is here in the US. Most Americans have no clue. Thank you. We didn't win the war. If it weren't for the Soviets getting involved, we would not get involved. So 1949, Germany splits into East and West. As you remember, back then it was East Germany and West Germany. So, and 1990, East and West, of course, Germany are reunited to form the Federal Republic of Germany. And this is mark also a crucial year by which we have promised Gorbachev at that time to never expand eastward. And of course, we went back on our word. That's just how unfortunate. So, and of course, there is one major aspect, events in the German history that I need you to know. And this one has to do with the 30 years war. Yeah, that's how long it took. And this one has nothing to do with other countries. It has to do with Reformation and the year of revolutions. This is what's important. So you have to understand this history to go back to our original question. Can Germany be trusted if they will move forward with acquiring the nuclear weapon? They have the minds, they have the brains, they can do it. If the question is, to me, it will be a double standard, especially by the US that said, oh, this country will be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. You either this or that. So, and this is why now Friedrich Merz, let me show a picture. Oh, I forgot to show you one picture from the archives. This is from the archives right there. So Frederick Merz now saying that is poised to assume he's going to be taken to the position of a chancellor after his party, the Christian Democratic Union. Now he is thinking in terms of what he's saying publicly, and I quote, because I kept the quote here for you. He said, and I quote, Germany should initiate talks on expanding the scope of the French and British nuclear deterrence to include all of Europe. So, however, this was before he went ahead and said, you know what? I am not going to rule out the possibility of acquiring or possessing our own nuclear arsenal. This is where the concern comes in. So, and even it was reported here in the US that this is going to be breaking a long-standing taboo, revealing what? It's sort of revealing now and I'll use the term, the strong shaking of the foundation of security in Europe. Not just Germany, but Europe writ large. Because like I mentioned to you before in previous video, I've been mentioning this all the time, that Europe, since I was a kid, I used to hear about Europe, oh, we need to stand on our own feet, security-wise. We don't want to depend on the Americans. It never happened. Never happened. Still till today, it's not happening. There is now, with statements like this, with the support in France, and I'm going to be in France soon, and I'm going to find out exactly if this is true or just, but so far, this saying the French people are supporting Macron in ensuring the aid continues to Ukraine and expanding the nuclear umbrella to other European countries. So this is where I use the term strong shaking of the foundation of European security, writ large. So, and this is why, and all this is happening. Here is the key to all this. All this is happening while this guy didn't even took office yet. Yeah, he won the elections and so forth. That's very ironic, very ironic. So, and this is why Merz, Frederick Merz, the chancellor elected, or the elected chancellor, that is, he is now calling for an alternative to the U.S. nuclear deterrent. Because remember, U.S. nuclear umbrella in Europe has been imposed there since when? Does anybody know? What era? Since when the U.S. extended its security umbrella to Europe? Just an era, if you can tell me. There's no specific year for that. Just see if you guys. The 40s, no, after that. Good try, you closer. After World War II, no, after that. The NATO, no, the era. It was the Cold War. That's why Army with Harmony, you're closer in the 40s, but it was in the 50s. That's where they extended. And this is why we went ahead. We established 5 locations. 5 locations of 5 countries. I'll say locations, but I'll say also countries. You have approximately, of course, we won't disclose the exact number, but approximately you have about 100 nuclear warheads in about 5 or 6 bases. So across, in 6 bases, actually. Here is the funny thing. This is why we will never straightforward say where. There are 6 bases, but there are only 5 countries. So makes you just wonder where the other base is, the remaining base. So I'm going to share with you the countries that are hosting the U.S. nuclear weapons. So you have Belgium, you have Germany, you have Italy, you have the Netherlands, and you have Turkey. So, and I'm going to tell you the bases, but the last one, I think it's sensitive. So I don't want to get into any issues here. So I'm going to just share with you what I know. That is not classified, of course. So in Belgium, there's the base in Kleinbrugge Air Base. That's in Belgium. In Germany, and I have a picture for you guys. Of course, it's just an overall picture. You can see the bases, the satellites. This is just part of the base. That's all it is. And Yeah, that's all it is, because they will not disclose the base, show the image of the base because it's sensitive location. You don't do that. So in Germany, there's the Bushal Air Base. In Italy, it's known as Aviano and Geri air bases. In Netherlands, yeah, and I'm familiar with this one here, is Volkel Air Base. And in Turkey, it's Incirlik. I used to have it's not I used to, I still have a friend of mine who used to be the commander of that particular base, without giving names, because I don't want to disclose the name because I don't have the authorization. So he was the commander of the Incirlik base. So those are the 5 bases. Now leaves you with 1 base. Where's the other one? And that's, so we leave it at that. So you can guess which country will have that 6th base. So now let's get back to our analysis here about, is Germany is going to move forward, and what's leading to this? There are those who are saying, when I say those, I'm referring to analysts, arguing that Trump is the one that has motivated Germany to even be thinking this radical way of going about this one. So, well, however, the U.S. has no desire of withdrawing its forces from Europe. As a matter of fact, Trump tried to do this during his first term. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because really, if he was to do this, you can do it through an executive order, by signing an executive order by which you say, you know what, we're going to withdraw our forces from NATO. I don't see him doing that. He can't do that. So, because I'm going to remind you of 1963, when Charles de Gaulle, remember him? I should have a picture for you guys, but I didn't. I'm sorry. When back then he said, and I quote, American nuclear weapons are the basic guarantee of world peace, but American nuclear power does not necessarily respond in a timely manner to all eventualities concerning Europe and France. Therefore, we have decided to equip ourselves with a unique atomic force. And this is what the former French president Charles de Gaulle said in 1963. This is why you need to understand now why France is advocating for extending the umbrella to Germany. So, because of course, it's going to have, once you do that, but the Germans, by the way, will not have the code. France will keep the code. We keep the codes of all those nuclear weapons. It's like with this so-called the nuclear submarine in for AUKUS. Do you think the Oz is going to have the code? No. The Typhoon missiles in Philippines. Do you think the Philippines will have the code? No. We keep the code. But for the nuclear, we do the same. And this is why I had to read an analysis by a guy by the name Christian Mollin. He's the director of the Future of Europe program, which is a think tank in Germany, that is. So, and I sort of, when I read it, I could see the logic in his argument. I do, because yeah, it makes more sense. Because if I am to think about it, and I concur with him on this aspect of, if Germany to go this route, Germany will only have 4 options now. You can extend to the 5th, but I don't see that. So if you think about the 4 options, is, for example, it's just to kind of to deal with this security, because it's a security gap that exists right now in not Germany but Europe. So will France be able to extend the umbrella to whole Europe? I don't think so, because it comes with cost. This is why our defense budget is almost $1 trillion. And we're not even talking about the supplemental bills that come. So it will come to 1.4 or 1.5 trillion dollars, because we have to cover Europe. Why should we? Let them cover themselves. Let them do it. Why should we care? So until there are those who are saying, well, if we don't, we're going to be invaded by the Russians and all that. That's nonsense. That is nonsense. Russians have no interest in. It's nonsense, because what's going on in Ukraine is because we broke our promise. Simple as that. Yeah. So the options that Germany has, so either for Germany to maintain the nuclear deterrent that has in Europe with the Americans, or for Germany to take over that without having the access to the code, or a combination of both, meaning to stay under the American umbrella, but also have its own independent. Usually it doesn't make sense, but and you have other options, one options, and this is according to what Christian Mullen, which I have to disagree with him on this aspect, is that for Germany to try to compensate for this lack of nuclear deterrent with conventional weapons. Well, they already have their conventional weapons, but their conventional weapons didn't take stand in Ukraine. You know, Germany sent the Leopard tanks. This stood no chance whatsoever. So the only thing left, the fifth option for me that I will think of, is to make an arrangement within Europe, because you got two countries in Europe that have nuclear capabilities. What are they? What are those two countries in Europe that have the capabilities, nuclear? Can you guys type in the chat box, please? Because I want you to just be part of the conversation. Two countries in Europe have their own. Let me just wait till you guys type in here. Alistalokin, you got it. UK and France. That is correct. So in this case, Germany has that option. The fifth option is to enter into strategic talks with those two countries and figure out a mechanisms by which to extend the nuclear umbrella to entire Europe. But again, it comes with cost. Can UK afford it when poverty rate in Europe, in UK is going up, when inflation is up, when sort of the British people are struggling? The same way in France. And as I mentioned, I will be making an assessment when I head out to Europe to see where all this is going. But at least that's an option for Germany if it wants to consider that one. So, and even with this idea of the conventional weapons, that will be costly. And given where the German economy is, I just don't see them affording that. This is why the new chancellor already made it clear that he will exempt military spending from any strict fiscal rules. You know what it means, which means there will be unlimited spending at the expense of the German citizen welfare. Put everything into armaments. That's where the concern is. So, within this frame, which means on the nuclear front, there is now the conversation between France and Germany, because Emmanuel Macron said, "I am willing to enter into strategic talks with Germany." And sort of see if Berlin will be able to rebuild its nuclear deterrent. Possibly not. And because France wanted to do what the US is doing with Germany, in other words, France will replace the United States. So, and that is where you're going to be seeing that if that is to happen, that means it will be a mandate for the French to defend Germany in case of an event. So, or the other possibility that the German pilots could be flying their planes that carries nuclear weapons, but they will not have the code to it because it will be Paris, France, that will hold the key. So it's kind of defeats the point. And this is why Emmanuel Macron went ahead and addressed these so-called strategic discussions. So now, where the big problem with all this, like I mentioned earlier, because Germany can subcontract with both UK and Britain. But there is a concern with that. And the concern is that Germany might end up being held hostage, politically speaking, to both countries. You all remember? You all remember when the Olaf Scholz went to Germany? Went to China. Who was before him in China? It was Emmanuel Macron. They didn't go together because he didn't want to be undermined. The same arguments I will make about this if they are to go together, as far as meaning France and UK and Germany will go with both. Germany will end up being at the mercy of those two countries. So, but of course, all this will have to do with the American position. Where do we stand on this? We're not going to allow this because we dictate the terms to Germany, not the other way around. No matter what you hear, no matter what you say. I wanted to do this analysis for you, but I want you also to keep in mind that because Germany is not a sovereign, it's sovereign on papers, no more, no less. The other big problem that looms large with this has to do with, in case Germany goes with this option of a nuclear. This is a silo for a nuclear, and I give credit to Gary. That's the image there. The concern with this has to do with the Nonproliferation NPT, the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty. Now, what is that NPT consist of? Nonproliferation, it consists of prohibiting it from developing nuclear weapon and prevent other signatory, which Germany is, state from assisting others in doing it. So this is why after World War II, what was one of the key, and I'm going to ask you guys a question here, what was one of the restrictions on Germany after World War II? If you can type in the chat box. Same thing happens to Japan. I'm giving you a hint here. Let me see. Army with harmony, no military. You guys got it. Multi-tom, no nukes. That is correct also. Yeah, those were the decisions that were made at that time. So this is why Germany is signed as a non-signatory to that. So if they end up doing this, breaking protocol with that, then that gives the open question. And the open question is, so why should Germany have a nuclear weapon but not Iran? We go with just that argument. Or country X, whatever that might be. So because that means Germany, moving forward in this direction, will have to renounce its signatory to the NPT treaty. So, because that's to me what I see. The only other option left, and there is only one option, in my opinion, and that option is to develop a nuclear weapon secretly, the way India did, Pakistan, North Korea. It's not secretly, but North Korea were doing it because we couldn't sanction and we couldn't have spies inside that country. So Germany will have to do it secretly, and if it is, that leads to another major problem. Where are they going to do the testing? See what I mean? It's just going to be very, very, very tricky if they decide to do this. And if it does, of course, that means no more commitment to NPT, and you know what happens after that one. So I had a chance also to read an article by Mohammed Al-Said. It was a very interesting article. It was in a foreign language, by the way, and I kind of read through it. I speak French and Arabic, so I can read in foreign languages. And what strikes me about it was very sort of its accuracy, if I may use the term. And I will put the link for you guys if I can. Yeah, I'll get it right here. I'll get it for you guys. It's long because I'll put it in chat box for you guys. So the idea of where do you start with this? Because the consensus right now in Europe is that the US has abandoned its commitments to Europe. Well, why should we? And again, as an American citizen, a taxpayer, Why should I be sending my tax dollars to Europe? They can afford their own. Why should we? Why should I take it from our own well-being here in America and send it over? But there is this consensus that saying, oh, now calls are being coming from France, Britain, and Germany, and so forth, for the need to replace the American security umbrella. So, may work, it might not. Like I said before, I've been hearing this since I was a kid about the Europe is going to stand on its own. It never happened. So. However, I am not seeing this is going to be moving forward, because otherwise we would have at least pulled out of NATO altogether. But this is not happening yet. And let the Europeans take charge of their own security. So now there is the other concern to all this, is that should Germany go this route, then you will have a nuclear arms race in Europe. Well, you think about it. This is not something you just build overnight, and you need resources. I was aware of a particular case, and I'm going to share it with you because it's not classified. Back in the day when I used to travel to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has asked at that time Trump, later on, but it was even before, they were after asking the US government to allow nuclear technology transfer. And I even wrote an article. I'm going to dig that article out and post it for you guys in the community. And I said, a big title, are you going to trust the Saudis with the nukes? Straightforward, because we all know how things work. 9/11, just think about it. 9/11, not the way it's portrayed here in the US, but you get the point. Maybe I should do a video on the other location about this one here. So I was the argument that I said in the article that I wrote back then, you do not want to do this, even though the Saudis are asking for it for just to use for electricity and so forth. No, because Saudis don't need that. Why? Because Saudis have already something in an escrow account in one particular country. And I'm not going to disclose the country because it is classified. So I see the same arguments will become, the Saudis can afford it financially, but not technically. I would say the same arguments about Europe. Should they become a nuclear arms race in Europe? Who's going to be able to afford it? You're going to have Turkey, most likely. You're going to have, who else? I don't see anybody besides Germany, maybe Hungary. Will Hungary be interested in nuclear nukes? I don't think so. Poland would be one, but I don't think so. Russia would even allow any nukes closer to its border. So this is where I see the challenges that's coming with this particular aspects of it, and that is where the U.S. will have this concern, because the ramifications of this on the security front will be very, very major. I'll say it's no different, that this is not going to be limited to just Europe, because you're going to be seeing it in East Asia as well, or in Asia in general term. So, because why? You're going to have some countries, the likes of Japan, the likes of South Korea. So I don't see, even though some in the West have argued, well, that Taiwan's going to end up going the same route. Well, first of all, Taiwan is not a country. That's one. Second, I don't think so. Beijing is going to tolerate that kind, because Taiwan is province of China. So where you see probably Australia, maybe South Korea, Japan. But of course, for Japan, it can't, because we dictate the term to Japan and South Korea for that matter. Like I said, you go back to Europe, you think about, like I mentioned earlier, Poland, maybe some of the Baltic states, some of the Nordic countries like Sweden, Finland. But again, that comes with a cost. That comes with a cost. And this is where it will be that nuclear arms race on a massive scale. And we all know what it means. Because that means now, that's it. You have defeated, or you have taken down the, I will use the term, sort of the fear of not of having nuclear proliferation. So the NPT will be useless, the non-proliferation. So this is where I go back to what Charles de Gaulle said back in 1963, and he was right. So that is where the concern I see. Then if you think that way, then you have to think about West Asia or Middle East. So far, Israel wants to stay the main dominant because even with Israel's nuclear aspects, but even with that, at least the US will be providing support for Israel in other cases, whatever. But Israel, it will be very, very concerned if the Saudis develop next, because no matter what, Israel has always been suspicious of Arab and Muslim states, always, and it will always be, by the way, despite these deals that, because you have about some countries like United Arab Emirates, Morocco, they have diplomatic deals, diplomatic agreements with Israel, but they will always be suspicious of that. So, and for now, suffice it to say that for Germany, it's a big decision that they're going to have to embark on, and I just don't see how MERS is going to move into this direction by acquiring nuclear weapons. What the US is going to do. So that's the way I see it moving forward. So anyway, guys, that's all I have to share with you today, because that's all I have as far as substance. And if I don't, I don't keep talking. So anyway, I will be working on having some interviewees. I'll extend an invitation, and we'll just go from there. My analysis about Iran and US, it will be released soon. Be on the lookout for that, and I will let you know when it's ready. So tomorrow, remember to join me on the other channel on Geopolitics and Money, formerly known as Geopolitics in Conflict. We'll be talking about, I did post it on the community, guys, on the other channel. So make sure to join us tomorrow, me and Elizabeth, at 12:15. We'll be talking about a very interesting topic. Yeah, whether the US, whether Donald Trump, I'll say straightforward, whether Donald Trump is pushing the US economy into a recession intentionally. And the question is why? And hopefully we will be able to answer that for you tomorrow. So, okay, I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. So, but before I let you guys go, please hit the like button. I will greatly appreciate it. And also, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all those who've been supporting the Asia trip. I'll take the last one here from Fabrice. Thank you so much. From Army with Harmony for supporting the channel, supporting the Asia trip, that is. So, and I'm very, very grateful for your support. So here is the link to the channel, and I'll put the link for you guys in the description should you decide to support the channel. And I'm very grateful. Thank you for that. So, all right, guys, hope you're wishing you a good evening, a good day, good afternoon, whatever part of the world you are. And I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.